The rapid outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic presents an alarming health risk that the world is still grappling with. Yes, in addition to the human impact, there is also significant economic, business and commercial impact being felt globally. As small businesses are being hit hardest by the fallout of the pandemic following the COVID-19 disruption to global economic activities. The Tony Elumelu Foundation's $100 million entrepreneurship program launched in 2015 to empower 10,000 entrepreneurs over 10 years is aimed at addressing the unique challenges arising from the pandemic, lift millions out of poverty, create sustainable employment across the continent. Foundation's entrepreneurship program, which is now entering its 7th year, has empowered to date more than 9,000 young African entrepreneurs from 54 African countries. The foundation is also set to empower 1,000 young African entrepreneurs selected from the 2020 cohort, as well as open applications to an additional 2,400 young entrepreneurs in 2021. In collaboration with global partners, the program, which is open to entrepreneurs across Africa, but new startups and existing young businesses operating in any sector, will see successful applicants receiving a world-class business training, mentorship, non-refundable seed capital up to $5,000, and global networking opportunities. Joining me now live in our Lagos studio to take us through what the foundation has been doing and will do as we move on is the Chief Executive Officer of the Tony Elumelu Foundation, Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Ugochukwu. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
First, effects of COVID-19, we're reeling from it. After postponing the program last year, how does 2021 program address this challenge most African entrepreneurs are currently facing?
First of all, I'd like to commend Lagos State as well as major African cities in overcoming the challenges facing us with the COVID pandemic. And of course, to all entrepreneurs across Africa, you know, we must all put hands together to ensure that we're doing our own part. Stay safe, social distancing, wearing your masks. You have to keep saying it. And of course, staying positive. And studies show that the easiest way to stay positive is when you're creating value for someone or something else other than yourself. And that is the very essence of entrepreneurship. And so it is up to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship to ensure that Africa overcomes the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic and the impact it has brought to our continent. And in doing so, what we must focus on is creating value and ensuring that we are giving the small and medium enterprises the much needed lifeblood they need to weather the storm. We must ensure that we come out of this stronger and smarter. And only through entrepreneurship can we do that.
And now, a lot of progress in female entrepreneurship has shown in the numbers and increasing participation for female entrepreneurs. Now, what real challenges are there to achieve for a more gender equal representation in business across the continent?
At the Tony Elumelu Foundation, since we launched the program in 2015, we have always prioritized gender equality. And that is why we've moved from 26% participation to 41% participation. And we keep working hard to ensure that we bridge those figures. Because women make up majority of the small and medium enterprise and even the micro enterprises across Africa. Studies have shown that women are 90% of the workforce. Sadly, they earn just about 60% of the income and own a mere 10% of the property. And so there are so many gaps, especially in access to financing, that women face in Africa. And if we're going to bridge that gap, we have to prioritize women entrepreneurs. And that is what we're doing in the 2021 entrepreneurship program with European Union, specifically the EU DevCo. So the Tony Elumelu Foundation announced a partnership with the European Union for 20 million euros to empower an additional 2,400 women across all 54 African countries in 2021. And this shows our focus to empower women across Africa, because when you empower a woman, you empower a nation.
When you empower a woman, you empower a nation. What if you empower a man? The impact of COVID-19, we really can't move away from this. What can all actors in the African development space do differently to ensure that there's a positive impact and across the continent on this road to recovery? We've had lots of recoveries, UV, we don't know, but what can we really do, all actors?
Well, starting with the Tony Elumelu Foundation,
Yeah.
before COVID, in fact, way before COVID, we embarked on a digital transformation agenda at the Tony Elumelu Foundation.
Wow.
And that ensured that we were positioned to continue our work and even further our work. So the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program is now automated in terms of the selection process. So before 2020, when you apply, the selection is done through a manual process of reviewing the applications in conjunction with the likes of Deloitte or Accenture. Now we have worked with leading developers across the world to have an automated selection process. So entrepreneurs who apply this year by going to www.tefconnect.com, once they apply, they take questions that showcase their business competence as well as psychometric assessments. And these now is automated. The assessment is done immediately by the computer, and then they get their results.
Wow.
And the good thing is that we will be training many more entrepreneurs than we will be funding, because we want to offer this opportunity to a lot more entrepreneurs. With over 230,000 entrepreneurs who applied in 2020, we do have so much demand, and we're encouraging development organizations as well as governments, both African and otherwise, to give the small and medium enterprises the much needed lifeline through funding and training. And that is what we do at the Tony Elumelu Foundation.
Indeed, that's the bedrock of any economy. That's for sure. Contribution to GDP and all of that cannot be overemphasized. Now, the foundation is currently celebrating its 10-year anniversary. There are plans to scale this tried and tested methods of the TEF entrepreneurship program for the long haul.
I think in terms of scaling, we're already doing that, because 5 years, so we have had 5 sets of this program since 2015 up until 2019. Of course, with 2020, we didn't hold the program because of the COVID-19 disruptions.
Yeah.
And in just 5 sets, we have trained and funded just over 9,000 African entrepreneurs, which is almost hitting the 10,000 mark that we gave ourselves as a target for 10 years. So that shows us that we are already on the road to scaling the program. And what we want to see beyond the 10 years is 1 million entrepreneurs trained and funded across Africa. Because the impact we see with just 9,000 entrepreneurs, we know that truly the entrepreneurs of Africa can transform the continent and catalyze economic growth.
Before the postponement of the 2020 program, which you mentioned, there was a call for entrepreneurs to apply for the program. Now, would they have to apply again, or what process? What's the process at the moment?
The 2020 applicants, as long as they made it through to the training, which they would have received an email letting them know that they've made it through to the training program, they do not have to reapply. But by February 1st, they would have to log into their portal and revalidate, because we are mindful of the fact that with the 2020 COVID-19 disruptions, things can change. You know, your business model can change. So you have an opportunity to go into the portal and revalidate your program. And if nothing has changed, you just press submit. And so that's all they have to do. They absolutely do not have to reapply, and they will be part of those who will be trained and funded in 2021.
I am impressed. What more do you want Nigerians to know about this?
Well, I think my call is to entrepreneurs, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa.
Across the country. Continent, sorry.
The truth of the matter is that with every challenge, there is a massive opportunity. And so www.tefconnect.com is a place that represents for entrepreneurs across Africa a massive opportunity. So go in, apply to the program, and you will likely be trained. And even if you're not trained, there are lots of opportunities, networking opportunities, access to investors worldwide. The Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program is committed to ensuring that each African entrepreneur is part of an ecosystem that will create an enabling environment for us to see the economic dividends that we can see. These are the job creators. And so the call to action to not just the entrepreneurs, but to the wider ecosystem, the development organizations, as well as the government, is that now is the time. The small and medium enterprises do not have the shock absorbers that the bigger organizations have. The liquidity crunch is real, and we cannot lose the gains of the last 10 years. So now is the time to scale. So the 3,400 we're doing this year is the absolute minimum. We intend on doing much more. And so watch this space.
We'll really keep watching this space and partnering with EU. You mentioned that and all of that. How has this partnership also helped you to improve? Let's round up on that note.
Well, it's not just the EU.
Yeah.
Since 2018, we opened our program up to partners because of the sheer demand. And so with the likes of the United Nations Development Program, Africa Development Bank, ICRC, that's the International Committee for the Red Cross, these are just a few of the partners that work with the Tony Elumelu Foundation, because we have identified a tried and tested model in our entrepreneurship program, the largest private sector-led entrepreneurship program on the continent that empowers African entrepreneurs, that sees capacity building and training as well as funding as two sides of the same coin, and a tested formula that ensures the success of majority of entrepreneurs that engage with us and take our program.
I must thank you, Madam CEO. You've heard it from her, Chief Executive Officer, Tony Elumelu Foundation, Mrs. Ifeyinwa Ugochukwu. I see that passion there. It has to do with growing SMEs. Well, we need to do that in this part of the world and at least increase their contribution and let them support government and even support everyone to get it right. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. Sorry about the traffic. It's
okay.
a Lagos thing.
Thank you for having us.